You're most welcome, Claudia, and thank you very much for those insightful information. And it's a pleasure to have you here. So very quickly, we'll go to Sadabio Suleiman. Thank you. Sadabio Suleiman, the floor is yours. Thank you. We miss Sadabio. Let's quickly go to Muhammad Ibrahim. Muhammad Ibrahim.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Sadabiyu Sulaiman Kouaish. I am from Sierra Leone, West Africa. I am the president for Youth Association of Sierra Leone. I am very happy to be part of this group because chemical waste is one of these. Hello. Chemical waste is one of the things that is affecting people here in Sierra Leone. Me as
All right, I think we're missing Sadabio. So can Mohammed Ibrahim chip in, please? Just introduce yourself briefly.
a youth person, I would like to say here in Sierra Leone. So I thank you.
All right, thank you, Sadabio, for that introduction. If Mohammed Suleiman is Ibrahim Hassan is there, can you just introduce yourself, Mohammed Ibrahim Hassan? Can you unmute yourself and speak? If not,
hello.
All right.
Are you still talking to me?
No. I'm speaking. We now calling on Mohammed Ibrahim Hassan. All right. If Mohammed Ibrahim Hassan is not getting us, can we go straight to Vincent?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Vincent from Vincent Nememana from Uganda, and I'm a co-founder and a CEO at an organization called Mikira Life, where we train youth for innovations and entrepreneurship for climate change and sustainability. Currently in Uganda, we are busy organizing for a SDG summit. There's an SDG summit that we want to organize a second part. And then I'm also lucky to be participating in an African youth youth group that is trying to edit a toolkit that will guide the African youth on how to act on climate change and other environment-related issues. So I'm with a group of some from Kenya, others from West Africa and other countries. So we are working on that document and we are finalizing it today, I think, to see how we can print it out and then roll it out. And then I'm involved currently in a Date for Climate Uganda, a chapter where we are trying to advocate for cancellation of debts of global south countries so we can allow them direct most of the resources to climate action instead of servicing and repayment of big debts from IMF and the World Bank. Basically, that's what we are doing right now. For the new things that are coming up for chemicals, I applied for all the opportunities, but I'm yet to get accredited. I've not been accredited for most of the things. I haven't received letters. But just like most of the African youth elsewhere, even I'm not sure of the funding really. So yeah, I'm happy to be in the alliance and work with the fellow youth on seeing how we can really fight for our position, our voice in at a global level, international level. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Vincent, for your introduction. And once again, just be reminded that the focus of this meeting will be on a fundraising strategy that for the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Convention meetings in Geneva, and as well as the UNEP INC plastic meeting in Paris. So basically, in this meeting today, before I hand over to Kwame, who will later introduce himself and as well as speak it from there, but I would also like to encourage all of you to kindly put your name, your country, and organization on the chat as well, and the portfolio you are also holding in your organization. So basically, the fundraising kind of strategy that we want to develop is basically to set a roadmap for us to see how best we can actually conduct a fundraising process ahead of these two meetings, which will actually help us to avoid stress and as well as organize and be more productive as an alliance. So we want it to be a result-oriented one and a very quick one, and as well as will help us to raise more money and deepen our relationship with other donors and partners ahead of these two meetings. So on that note, I will hand over to Kwame, my colleague, to take us to the next step and how we unfold with the remaining items on the agenda. Over to you, Kwame. Thank you all.
Okay, so thank you so much, Joe, for such a wonderful discussion. And at the same time, thank you, Vincent, Emmanuel, Joshua, Christopher, Sadapio, Suleiman. I think Claudia has left, but maybe she'll come back. So as Joe has introduced and said previously, one of the things that we want us to look at is the strategies and ways that we can fund some of this event that is happening. From Joe's introduction, he made mention of there are a lot of things going on in terms of the chemicals and waste sector. And one of the issues that we normally face is some of this funding most African youth to represent and also speak in connection with the voices of Africa from the African perspective, which most of us are not getting. It seems previously we had even a survey on the BRS, which a lot of, I think we had 5 people showing that they've gotten their letters. But when I engaged them even further, the response was quite bad, because we saw that even they even don't understand what exactly is the BRS. So, and even have not even received any invitation for the event, and it's quite unfortunate. And I'm hoping, Vincent, you have your letter or invitation letter as soon as possible so that you can also attend. Fortunate for us, we are looking at the BRS because which is next week, I think later next week or the following week. Unfortunate for us, we have a side event which precisely on the NIPS, that's the National Implementation Plan. And fortunate for us, I've said AYAC has a side event, which to us, we were thinking that we have a lot of young people to represent and also speak and understand the process which is being going on. And but we still look. So I will not say much. We still have a bit of time in connection with the INC. So we'll leave the ball into your court and also discuss further if there are ways that we can secure funding for this program in terms of participation, because we still have a bit of time. Someone has muted and we are hearing reflection. Sorry, and let me check. Secure funding for this program in terms of participation. Okay. So can you hear me? Is it okay now? Let me check.
Yeah, we can hear you, but I don't know whether there is a
An
a
echo.
computer that is connected. So it's like after you speak, it's repeated in a device. So it's like double device are on.
Okay, so I think it's, let me check, hold on.
I don't know whether there is.
Okay, I think it's okay now. It's because, you know, we are still having this on live on YouTube. So for those who did not have the chance, maybe you can visit the YouTube channel and listen. So
Yeah,
I think that's
so you have to mute the YouTube. It can be on, but mute it.
yes,
so
I've done
you
that.
can. Yes, thank you.
I've done that. So that's the issue. For now, we need to look at how we are going to get funding, particularly those who haven't got funding and those who don't have letters, to see how best we can possibly, with Joe has been in the BRS process, so maybe Joe can educate us more on how, if it is possible. We still have a way that we can get you a letter to have to represent, but that one will also boil down on you getting your visa as early as possible. So with the funding precisely with the BRS and the INC, I think if some of you can suggest and we can all brainstorm together to see how best we can strategize funding, write proposals, so that each and everyone within AYAC can represent and at the same time understand the process that is happening. So Joe, this is what I will say. I will leave the rest to you for you to continue. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Kwame Fori. I am the founder of AYAC and also the executive director of Apple Foundation. So for now, that's what I would say. So Joe, I'll leave the ball to you so that we go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kwame, for that information. And I think it is basically well said. Basically, for the BRS, which is basically the Basel, Rotterdam, and Stockholm Convention, these are actually triple conventions that are joined together with multilateral institutions and agencies where NGOs also fit themselves in as well. So basically, it's one of the highest decision-making body where you have the opportunity to interact as an NGO directly with your country national focal point, and as well as all UN agencies that are directly or indirectly working within the space of chemical and waste. We are aware, based on my previous participation, that the BRS COP is not even known to young people in Africa, and Africa being the most vulnerable continent and the main receiver of the effects of chemical and waste, don't even know such discussions are actually ongoing. In the year, it actually happened twice, you know, and this BRS happening in a couple of few days ahead or a week will be hosted. The presidency basically is the Bahamian government. And initially it was supposed to be in Bahamas, but because Bahamas visa issues is quite very complicated, you need to have a UK visa before getting to Bahamas. So a lot of countries actually did not want the meeting to be held there. So previously we had our first youth side event ever within the BRS space, which I was the moderator, and my co-moderator was from CL, and a legal environmental legal institution, which we were actually under the framework of the IPEN Youth Caucus. We had a very interesting BRS, which was attended by a lot of government delegates, and as well as a lot of a lot of other NGOs as well. So it was well organized, and we did also an intervention during the process, which, because our particular focus was the NIPS, there's a National Implementation Plans. Because the NIPS, why we chose the NIPS out of so many topics, discussion topics within the BRS, because the NIPS basically gives you a general overview of what is the status of chemical and waste in a particular country, and how far have a country been done, and how serious a particular country is doing with regards to chemical and waste, where the issues of human rights, the issues of health is addressed, and as well as the issue of economic, So we chose NIPS because NIPS was dormant, and countries, because it's voluntarily, so countries have not been submitting their NIPS report. Some countries has gone for 10, 15, 20 years, they don't submit. So the youth side event shed light on this, and it was captured in the last BRS COP that countries needs to revisit and start submitting report. And our interventions also have our intervention statement have also helped to counter a lot of issues that government were actually neglecting or were not actually considering, especially governments from the global south. So from then, when you check at the BRS website, you could find all these interventions that we made for the first time, and as well as the major takeaways from the youth side event was that the youth side event will continue taking place and also replicate itself also in other major meetings like the SECAM. I think the team were in Romania, which Kwame will talk much about the Romania part. And also UNEP have recognized the youth side event, and that is why they gave us for the second time to organize it, because so many other major groups, or let's say stakeholders, have attempted applying to organize this youth side event, but it was officially given to AYAC. So that's a big plus for us, meaning that we have been bestowed a responsibility. We have been bestowed, to continue something that is deemed very important in the sight of UNEP. And as well as this year, as we are speaking, many countries have done a pre-BRS meeting focusing on the NIPS. Like my country, the Gambia, have done their NIPS workshop, multi-stakeholder workshop, and I think Sierra Leone as well, and many other countries. So it is prudent to us to reach out to our national focal points, and as well as understand at what status is our respective country and region, not only your country, but your region. If you're from SADC, if you're from Eastern Africa, if you're from ECOWAS, if you're from the North Africa, you need to understand how far is North Africa, how far is West Africa, so as to understand exactly how do you support. But remember that our governments also are solely relying on the NGO sector. And I think in the last BRS, we've supported our governments in the negotiations, ongoing negotiation, because most of them are politically appointed, have no clue or zero understanding about these issues because they're very scientific. So we coming from a network that have a scientific background, IPEN, we were able to understand the nitty-gritties of this entire NIPS, which I will encourage all of you to look at as well, in as much as we are trying to mobilize resources. So in the NIPS also, we strongly call for UNEP to recognize the inclusion of youth, in the text, because it was just women and children. We felt that that was not very clear. So youth was actually flagged, it was bracketed, and for possible inclusion for this BRS outcome that we are about to attend as well. So we push for the full participation of young people, and also the engagement of young people, and also the support of young people, not only at the BRS level, but also at the national, regional, and sub-regional and global level as well. So this second round of our side event, we will be able to come up with a very strong declaration and also make intervention, because we're not just having the side event, but also we will like to also speak and intervene in the ongoing negotiation. It's quite an interesting one. So we will also have to join other networks like IPEN and other networks like BAN, who are very specific in particular, because there are some networks that are very specific to the Stockholm only, to the Basel only, to the Rotterdam only. There are some networks, they are special in all. So we'll need to align ourselves and make sure also our presence is felt, and make sure, because the only way people will respect you or recognize your presence is through your contribution. So we will also be joining the contact groups, which is normally done early morning before the start of the actual meeting, where other networks and allies, allies will meet, discuss, and have a common position on how to counter certain governments like Saudi Arabia, like the Arab League, because they are more in for this chemical, because they are petroleum states as well. So basically, in just summary, this is how it looks like, and we are hoping that we will also read a declaration at the end of the BRS, and also submit our report of the side event, and as well as at least the minimum give 5 different interventions in the course of the work of the BRS meeting. With the intervention, will be recognized by the BRS Secretariat and as well as UNEP, and this will give us edge for donors to come across our names, and we will not be like novice to them, but also they will see us as a very productive and contributing alliance that don't just seek funding, but shaping, decisions and influencing policies as well. So I'll cut there. I don't want to make it so boring, and I'll encourage more of you to look at the BRS website, which is actually giving you opportunity to know more about the Basel Convention, the Rotterdam Convention, and as well as the Stockholm Convention, which specifically is looking at protecting the human health and environment from persistent organic pollutants and hazardous chemicals as well. So thank you very much. And if you have questions, I'll be very, very much happy to respond to you as well. Thank you, colleagues. Over to you back, Kwame.
Okay, thank you, Joe, for such a wonderful and powerful presentation and letting us understand how the process has been to now. And I think most of us will learn. And I'm very much happier to hear that Gambia has had their NIPS, and they've had a meeting prior to the BRS. Sierra Leone is also doing that. And I believe each and everyone can do the same from their various constituents in terms of Nigeria, Cameroon, and Zambia, Uganda, and every part of the world that you see yourself. I will open the floor if there are still questions, or if there's something that each and everyone don't understand and would like to ask question. I think the floor is open. We can go on to ask, and we can discuss some few, and if possible, we talk a bit about the INC and how best we can still get participation, and how best we can still have information from our various countries with regards to the NIPS, and you can still engage your country, what are their position towards the NIPS, and why, if they are not presenting, what are the factors, what is preventing them of not presenting. So the floor is opening, and you can unmute yourself or you can raise your hands, and the floor will be open for you to ask questions. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So you can talk.
Yeah, okay. Oh, quickly, I want to appreciate you all for this wonderful online event to educate us more on the BRS program. Another aspect I just want to chip in, like we said, funding is actually at times a major challenge to, like you said in your opening, the developing countries like African countries seems to be the most felt, countries that are the receiving end of this chemical waste and what have you. They have high tendencies of negative impact on this chemical waste, but they also tend to be the least represented in terms of these conventions and in terms of decision making and all that. And one major aspect, which is not far from the reason, is also about funding, which is what we are here discussing on how to go about it. Another aspect I just want to quickly point out, I think we should also be looking into aware of intervening and see how we could go about it, is about securing a visa. There's always it's always a calling tax for Global South participants from Global South to secure visas to easily for these major events. Like I just want to say, currently, for instance, I have my observers letter of notification for this BRS coming up next month. But the issue of securing a visa appointment is always a problem, as there is always a kind of 5 weeks, 2 weeks, 10 weeks, what have you, impediments being put in place that you can't even, make any move after all the struggle and all the, energy put in place in securing your invitation letter. You end up facing the challenges of even securing a visa appointment, not even talk about the visa being approved. So it's a major challenge. Countries from Global South, we are really facing this, as an issue. So aside the funding, there is the major issue also is this visa, securing visa. I think we should also be looking into it, probably those of us that would be participating, because I don't see myself participating because I can't secure visa. Yeah, I can't even secure appointment. Yeah, so to say, and the event is just by the corner. So I think we should also better, if possible, if all the hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Hello?
can hear you.
I hope
We can hear you.
okay.
We can hear you.
So if possible, I'm rounding off shortly. If possible, I would like to suggest it to be a kind of a letters written from the head to the embassies, probably with name, urging them to facilitate participants. I think it will really go a long way. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. What's the name? Christopher, for that presentation, for that inquiries and the challenge that we face. It's very true that this has been the challenge. But normally, one thing I find is that with the UN system, particularly with UNEP, most of these things can be sorted earlier when you try to engage them better. So these are the things that we are trying to look at it and see the possibility of making sure that things work and things precisely with the visa issues is being worked on as soon as possible. So I don't know, with those, with the INC, I think UNEP even developed a portal that you can submit your application so that they can link you with an embassy for you to have your visa as soon as possible. With the BRS, I think because they are trying to introduce a lot of young people, precisely trying to add more youth to the process. I think this time it's been quite busier, but we can still find a way. That's why we are here, to see the possible solutions for some of these things so that we can represent fully and make our voices be heard as soon as possible and make sure that input has been felt in most of these instruments. So your concern is everyone concerned, and is all African youth concerned in terms of even funding and other things. But I believe that when we are able to connect to each other very well, to speak, to find solution for some of these things that is happening, I think we can thrive through. So we will still fight. We'll still make sure that some of these things is being addressed as soon as possible. That's what I would say. Joe, if you still have something to add up, or if anyone still have a question, I think we can put it across and make sure that we find answers to it. Thank you.
Yeah, just what I want to add is the visa issue is actually a very big problem that for many years has been echoed within the corridors of the meetings as well. That is why, as a Global South participants to many of these chemical spaces, we are trying to own ourselves. We want to be sovereign, because most of these global North organizations or networks, do push a visa issue on behalf of, their team, and that is when you look at the chemical and waste space, Africa is not represented by any. We don't have any alliance, any network at all. And you made mention of appointments. That is why you are in AYAC, because there are ways you get the appointment, because such UN meetings, you're exempted from going through the normal appointment slots, So you wouldn't know when you are not in the process or part of a network. And so, because most of even our members from Africa, have been rejected, so many times by Geneva, the Swiss embassy and stuff. But there are ways that you can get appointment within 72 hours of requesting for it. And so it's an exercise that we all have gone through. And after going through it once, it's a learning process. But that is why now we want a formidable alliance, a formidable team that will represent the continent itself, not just as a youth, but as you actually fade off from the youth age, we will also be happy to see the grooming, the nurturing of young people following suit as well, So it's sad that we are underrepresented, but with AYAC, we are trying to actually stretch to cover those loopholes to make sure we prepare the next generation, because it's gonna be more catastrophic if we actually work separately as organizations like ACO Foundation, like YVE. We could have represented our organizations, but when you look deep into it, the Global North don't represent themselves as organization or as an institution. They go as a network, they go as a union, they go as a consortium, you know, even their scientists. So this had been their norm. And I think we need to strengthen AYAC. We need to give AYAC the whole support, and we need to make sure that we are very genuine in our process and action. And we need to make sure that we furnish AYAC the most information needed in terms of reporting activities, in terms of bilaterals, you know, and this will definitely, you know, add value to our respective national organizations as well. So I think since Kwame is here, we will actually look at consolidating number of people that have gotten the letters to attend the INC and the BRS. For the INC, I am very, very sure that there is a portal already. If you fill the portal, if you don't have it, Kwame will send to you. With the portal, the French embassy will call you directly and give you your appointment. In fact, they don't just give you appointment, they call you and tell you, when do you want to submit your application? For the Geneva one also, Kwame will actually tell us, we will consolidate the number of people that are wanting to attend. But first also remember, you need to have a funding, you know, because that is one thing that the embassy look at as well. But we can also help in giving advice on how to get the appointment from your respective embassy. I know some certain countries don't have the embassy. They have to cross to another their application as well. So I think that is that with regards to the visa issue. But if there is funding, of course, AYA can help in securing appointment for you to guide you to apply for and get the soonest appointment you can within 72 hours. Yeah, so Kwame, so I think that is from my own experience with regards to dealing with visa issues in these various multilateral functions.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any more questions so that I come back with the what do you call it, ways that we can get appointment and at the same time ways that we can still have visa processes being eased as soon as possible. If there's any question, the floor is still open. Any questions?
In the absence of question also, I will also like to share how the agenda itinerary is done within the BRS space so that people know exactly, have a picture of how the meetings run parallelly and what guides the agenda items, and as well as what were the from the BRS. But let me wait for any questions before I move to that as well. Any questions? We're very happy to, we're discussing as a family from the continent, representing the continent, please. Whatever comes in your head, very important.
Okay, so there's a question from Emmanuel. Emmanuel is asking if one wants to attend the BRS COPs meeting or the INC-2, how do I go for it? Joe, if you can answer those questions, I'll be glad. I think the BRS meeting is quite close, unless maybe you have visa with the BRS as of now. If there's a visa that we have, we can still get you so that you can attend the meeting. But if you don't have visa, looking at it, the following week, I think is quite challenging. But we can still look ways and means that we can get you your appointment if you still need one, and see how best we can manage. But with the INC, I think the INC, the portal is still open, so we can still help you with the INC. Because there are other organizations that we can work with them as partners that we can still get you the INC. But the BRS, I think the challenge is quite high, and we know how best we can go about it. So that's, Emmanuel, that's your question. I think who are direct people in Sierra Leone that are in the BRS? That's from Sulama. Sulama, I think you contact your EPA.
What does it mean by people? Are you talking about the national focal point?
Yeah, I think so.
Or the organizations who are registered under AYAC? Can you be specific? What do you mean by people first? Who are the people? Which people? Government, from government level or from the NGO sector?
Okay, she said national focal person, so. Okay, Vincent, it's your question. I get funding for, can I get funding? If I have visa, can I get funding or even INC too? Personally, my big challenge is always funding. Okay. I think Joe will answer all these questions. So, Joe, Suleiman says the focal person. So the focal person will be your EPA. But I think Joe, the question is up to you. You can go on to answer.
Yeah, I think for Sierra Leone, I think the national focal point is from the EPA, but I will also encourage that you liaise with one of the AYAC member called Mohamed Jallo, is the director for Youth Alliance Sierra Leone. I think the focal point is at the EPA. So Kwame will later share you Mohamed's contact so you both can see, because at the country level, there is NIPS funding. So the NIPS there is funded already. Liaise with Mohamed Jallo, see how best you both can walk around it. I think he also have an invitation for the BRS and for the INC. So I believe in coordination. You both can coordinate, see how best you can approach your EPA, look at the focal point. If there is funding for the NIPS, which I'm very sure other countries have been given to. So maybe they might give you partial funding, or look at how you can engage with them at the country level first before going to the BRS. And also with your relationship with the EPA also, they can also, one of the things we do in Gambia is, if the government cannot give you funding, they can write a letter recommendation, which you can get from UNDP or other UN agencies that are actually having interest within the space of chemical and waste, even some of the embassies there. So try to have your government write a recommendation through the EPA to say we are working with Mr. So-and-so and is a member of the African Youth Alliance on Chemical and Waste, and is the director of ABCD, and is expected to attend the BRS, which they are actually conducting programs and activities within this thematic area of issue. So you can use that letter, write another letter from your organization seeking, be specific what you are seeking for. You understand me? If it is a ticket, if it is an accommodation, you just have to be specific. Use those recommendation letter. I can also add another additional, recommendation letter, which you can get those funding, either for the INC. For the BRS, I'm afraid it's closed. For the INC, it's up to the 28th of April, I think, which will be closed. So I think that is the best way with regards to funding, because for now, the slot funding for UNEP was 20 people, which is quite highly political, which I think it is very difficult to get funding from them. And of course, the networks have already selected the people they will be funding. And that is why AYAC is trying as much as possible to see during the INC and BRS, we are looking at having bilateral closed door meetings with the European Union respective governments like Stockholm and like Sweden, Finland, and as well as Bahamas, because Bahamas also are underrepresented being the presidency for the BRS. So we are looking at not just organizing these things, side events, but also have bilateral meetings, which we did in Uruguay, but we did it as a major group of youth. But this time around, we want to have a closed door meeting with these bilateral partners, donor partners, making sure that we have a slot at least to take at least minimum 15 young people in every meeting, minimum at least, so that we're able to do pilot projects in the respective countries. We know the timing is very slim, is very short, but when seeking for this funding, make sure you are very specific. If you think you can fund your ticket, just request for accommodation and probably DSC. Just be specific and split your funding needs to the different institutions you are writing to. Because when it's too bulky, most time they don't like giving it out. But when you indicate that in your letter of request that you have secured your visa, you have secured your invitation, you have secured your accommodation, you are seeking for probably a round trip ticket, you know, to be able to attend so and so meeting, and you're expected to organize a side event, do presentation. You just put these elements in and assure them that a report will be submitted to your institution, and also will engage you in our plan activities immediately after the BRS or INC meeting. So based on from my view, I hope these tips are helpful. And if there is something that I've left out that is not quite very clear, please raise it again. I'll be very happy to respond accordingly. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you, Joe. Is there any question? Vincent, I don't know if you can also try to speak to your EPA focal person in Uganda. I think it will also be very important. Engage them to know what exactly, particularly with the NIPS. I think there are a lot of funding opportunities regards to the NIPS, the National Implementation Plan. Speak to your EPA focal person, and I think you can get a good response. If anything, if you need other letters that you think you still want us to draft and give it to you, I think we are all in for it. So let's see how best this thing goes on as soon as possible, and so that we can get the representative that we need during the BRS and the INC, possibly done as early as possible. Is there any question? With Nigeria, I think you can also still contact your EPA. I will also send you a number, Ahmed. I think you can get in contact with him. He will also assist you to get in contact with the EPA and see how best their strategies looks like. If there are other funding opportunities that you can have it, it's quite possible. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Any more questions? EPA simply means Environmental Protection Agency. I don't know how it's being called in your country. So visit EPA means Environmental Protection Agency. Or you can go online, search for, let me search for you. Let me see if I can get you a link so that you can know your focal person. You read them through email. I'm looking for it for you people so that each and every country will know who their focal persons are when it comes to the BRS. Okay, thank you.
can share the BRS focal person link here.
Yeah,
for each country.
Yeah.
Let me share the link right away.
Okay.
So you
good.
can just search your country there, and you can have your country name. So you can proceed on something else, Kwame.
Okay. Okay. So I think we've exhausted most of what we have here, and we spent almost like 1 hour. It's more than 1 hour. So in order for us to have a very good productive discussion, if there are other issues that you think that we can talk about, or there are other, when you look at agenda, I think the last on the list is about any other issues, AOB. So if there are other issues that we think that can be done to strengthen particularly AYAC, we can go on. So other issues, AOB, any other matters relating to AYAC, relating to other things that can be discussed to promote AYAC, I think we can do that.
Yeah, I've just sent the link.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just sent the link.
Okay, thank you. You have shared the links. So any other matters, any other business?
Yeah, also I will say if there is any strategy or ways or recommendation in terms of our bilateral meetings with the different country donor partners, potential ones you think we should reach out, you can also raise it up to share name and contacts as well, so that we can inform and start lobbying for possible, talking slots with them, so that they can know prior that they are going to meet the AYAC founder, to talk about A, B, C, and D. Because this is the only space, because when you write to them from Africa, it's difficult for them to reply to you, and it's difficult for them to give you support. But we want to meet them face to face. So I myself, Kwame, and whosoever will be there, will definitely have this meeting with them. At least we want to at least win 1 or 2 funding for this year for such kind of engagements, whereby our most profound engaging individuals, organizations can benefit from, where we will generally send a funding call to the continent for people to apply as well. So let's try to think around and see what we can suggest. You might not know basically a potential donor partner, but you might have a fundraising lobbying skills or strategies that you may want us to use. How do we go about it as an alliance, and how do we make sure that the side event is stunning and will actually open doors to a lot of partnership and funds. Let's just share ideas, because we are all from different respective organizations. We will love to hear and learn how your organizations have been going about these things and how best we can do it as a continent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. So the floor is open. Wafa, Joshua, Christopher, Vincent, Mohammed. I think, Christopher, you have a lot of engagement, because looking at your space, if there are other opportunities, of other organizations that we can reach out to. Because sometimes reaching out to as individual organization is quite challenging. But if we reach out to them as a collective, what they call a coalition, I think that gives us a bit of momentum to speak to them, because AYAC is over 32 African countries and at least youth across Africa. And I think we can do best and we can do better. So any fundraising activities, any fundraising plan, anything that you've been using, as Joe suggested, you can share, and we can go on with it. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to set the ball rolling, whilst other people are thinking, the network, it's quite big. So I will also suggest on the list for us to reach out to the Norwegian NORAD. NORAD is quite one of the biggest funding institution in Norway. And we could speak to them and speak to the Norwegian government. And they have a keen interest on the issue of plastics, chemical and plastics as well. And they have pumped a lot of money in the INC-2. So I am of the opinion that we can write to NORAD, start the conversation with them, and also see how best also, if possible, we can also have to meet the Minister of Environment of Norway, and also, if possible, ahead of the INC, we can have a continental project proposal on the issue of INC. You understand me? Which could be a pilot project that deals specifically on issues of research and policies, you know. So they are particularly interested around that research policy. And then we can look around a bit of campaign, you know, that can be added. So policy, research, and campaigns. So if we can have a proposal in that context, precise, very direct, and not just AYAC, but AYAC having other partners to be part of the process as well, you know. So we can actually develop that ahead of the INC and write to NORAD for an audience, as well as maybe even after the INC, those with longer visas, we can also lobby to have meeting audience with the Norwegian Environment Ministry, which we can lobby, you know, ahead of the INC as well. So this is my own recommendation, and I think we can make headways with that. They have a lot of money and they have so much interest in Africa and they want to come. So we already have the right team. We have scientists in AYAC, and we have a lot of other expertise. And I believe they will want to invest more on the youth networks as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Kwame, for the invitation. I'm really sorry I couldn't attend the meeting earlier because it's the Eid, and we're celebrating all together here in Morocco. So happy Eid, and so I don't know if you already know actually that I am a manager at the Foundation for Environmental Protection, and my diary is, you know, is the role for the AYACW groups and stakeholders. So what we can do and what I can suggest is just to make a proposal and just to, you know, like just to talk about it to him and just see how he can help us with funding to attend the INC-2. So I mean, if you have any suggestion or if you can help me with the proposal.
Hello, can you hear me, Papa?
Sorry.
We lost you.
Probably I have a bad network.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you hear me before? Or should I repeat what I said?
So you can repeat what you've said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. From the beginning. Okay, so I just said that I am a project manager. So I joined the Mohammed VI Foundation recently for environmental protection, and my director actually is Ayman, and I was wondering if you know him because he's the regional facilitator for African major groups and stakeholders to UNED. So what I suggested is just that we can work on a proposal all together and you know, like just talk about it to him and see how he can help us, especially with funding, like just to attend INC-2.
So you are saying that we can write a proposal together, and that's that kind of foundation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, well, if you're okay with that, I can help you with that, like just to present the proposal to them, and you know, like just present the our organization, and just to,
so
because they're very interested in helping African youth. Sorry.
Yeah, so Kwame, I think I also subscribe to WAFA's recommendation. I think it is best to present proposal to donors and have a discussion with them than just introduce the network or the alliance to them. So we need to formulate that proposal ASAP and then be very strategic on it. And then we can use that as an entry point to have the interests of the donors and have a work going on that will financially be funded by them. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you, Joe. That's exactly what I was talking about. So like just to make a proposal all together and just to work on it, and then we can just, you know, like try to convince them to help us with just, you know, just like some youth from the audience and just to support them to attend the INC-2. So that's what I was talking about. And yeah, so if there is anything I can help with, or if there is something that you have in mind also that we can add, it's more welcome.
Yeah, I think perfectly said. I think that is that exactly what I was also trying to put across. So I think we just have to agree upon what specifically do we want to formulate. And in as much as we are formulating also, we will also have to look at aligning it with the global policies as well as interests of the continent as well. So I'm pretty sure there are a few global north countries that are really pumping a lot of money into the entire process. And there are a few countries tapping on these opportunities. And we can stand alone because we are actually a youth major group, you know, I mean, a youth stakeholder rather. So I think we will not have that competition, you know. So it is best that we start working on it now ahead of the INC, and I'm pretty sure we can have support, and this will be a good start for the continent. So if there is any question or any additional contributions from others, we've got two great ideas, and I think we will go with that. And if there is any additional one, or someone want to share a comment in the framework of the discussion, we'll be happy to take note of that.
Okay, Joe, I think it's a good suggestion, but our time is also fast spent. If there are no more questions, I think we want to have another meeting that will be on the Twitter space, and maybe we can have 2 or 3 speakers, you yourself and other people, to at least educate us on some of these what do you call it, instruments. So we'll do that as soon as possible. Then also work on the proposals, because we don't have time, and engage better so that a lot of young people voices will be heard. So if there are no more questions, if there are no more contribution, maybe we can end today and maybe move on, or we continue next week.
Before we end, it will be great to align a time frame on the suggested contributions that were made by myself and Wafa and others as well, to see how best we can kickstart it to ahead of the plan meeting that we'll be having, so that we agree upon what specifically we're looking at and who are we reaching out and how do we go about it, than waiting till apportioning a meeting date. But let's start looking at how do we effect the action on the recommendations that are already made now, since we are constrained with time. Thank you.
So thank you. Wafa,
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Joe said. So probably we need a schedule or a planning so we can just, make the best of our time and just, because we don't have time anymore. And normally it's just like for sponsoring it, for to find some sponsors and to find some funding, it's just like going to take a lot of time, and the procedure is like quite long. So what I would love to say as well is just like if we can make a plan like for the next meetings, and just like to put some deadlines and to work on them. That's what I would love to add. And thank you.
That's very true. So today is Saturday. So it's Tuesday, okay, or Monday. Then we have one Google document. We started putting this idea together. So by today, I'll put the Google document together. Then we start putting our ideas on the Google document. Each and everyone will have access to it. And we start putting our information together and start reaching partners with the proposals and everything as soon as possible. Another thing is we still also need to put some plans together with relation to the BRS side event, engage other parties as possible. So it's not only for the INC, it's also as well for the BRS, our side event, which is coming up on the 9th of May in Geneva. So these are the two things that we can look at it. I'll put the Google document today, and Wafa, Joe, Emmanuel, Joshua, Christopher, we can add up with other groups and organizations that we can get in contact with. Those that Joe and Wafa suggested, we've come out with a concept note. Then we reach out to them as soon as possible. We have an official email addresses that we can reach out to them as soon as possible. So that's for me, my suggestion. So Tuesday is the latest. Monday is the soonest. So Monday, Tuesday, at least we can finalize one of these days and go on with it. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. So we look forward to the Google Doc, and of course, we'll also need to map out the list of people in the Alliance that are going to this different set of meetings. But meanwhile, let's have the Google Doc up, and then and also map out those we want to reach out with this outcome document that we want to share out. So since there is not much time for this meeting, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have something that will really add value to the process that we want to attain. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's been a wonderful meeting, and it's been a productive meeting as well. So let's keep in touch. from today to Tuesday. Let's keep in touch, and let's engage on the WhatsApp platform as well. There's a link, at the same time, there's a link with what we've done, what we've recorded on YouTube. So I think we can still take, we can still share. Those who could enjoy it can still listen in. And thank you everyone once again, and happy Ramadan. And
Kwame, it's not Ramadan, it's the Eid. It's the end of Ramadan.
okay, so what do we say?
Eid Mubarak,
Eid.
Eid Mubarak. You say Eid Mubarak.
Okay,
Ramadan is gone.
Oh,
My friend, how can you miss that? How can you miss that?
You know, someone told me yesterday that it's Ramadan. They are all part of Ramadan. So that's the mistake.
Wafa Eid Mubarak.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Enjoy it and share us pictures and the food you are preparing from home, please.
Okay.
All right, enjoy your peace and talk to you soon.
Okay, enjoy your holiday.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.